Good evening, and welcome to Drie, Bokke. I think you were muting me while I was unmuting myself there, Joe. Apologies. Drie, Bokke. I call him BlitzBOD. We've let Joe out. It's the vitamin D deficiency from the production world of wilderness, and he's back with us front and centre, mainly because of the people we have on tonight. Because we have got some absolute beauties on tonight, and we are so excited to have on. Joe, welcome back to front of house.
Thanks very much. It's two in a row last night. Fantastic with another South African pair last night, Alan Stanford and Matt Turner on the USA round of show. So that's good. And it's it's great. And well done, mate, on poaching these two guys on. Great characters, and really looking forward to tonight. So everything going well. New Facebook page for you as well. So I've been sort of busy while I've been in the bowels of beyond there, sort of beavering away. So it's nice to be back to everybody, and all my best wishes to everybody in South Africa and around the globe.
So we've two things. We got this was supposed to be a rugby show, but there's a bit of MasterChef going on. You'll find out in a minute. But secondly, we've got a new partnership. We've got a new partnership with Workshop 17 here in South Africa, which is fantastic. I would love to say that I've upgraded my house and built this huge building here in Hull, but definitely not. They're allowing us to use the space, which is great. And obviously, you'll see that this Wi-Fi is better than the elastic band I'm using at home, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're really, really enjoying working with Workshop 17 already. And they've got co-working spaces, loads in the Western Cape, 2 in Cape Town, 1 here in Parla, then obviously in Joburg as well. Look them up. It's going to be the future. Everybody's going to start using co-working spaces, guys. So, look them up. Workshop17.co.za. There's loads of cool stuff coming out here. And, after this, there's going to be a lot of people who can't afford the whole office blocks. And I think co-working spaces are the way to go forward. But let's start. Let's get on with this. First guest. World Cup winner. We're not talking about that. Oh, we will talk about that. But schooled at the very famous Paul Russ in Stellenbosch. Stormer, bit of a time in Bordeaux as well. Springbok, and now World Cup winner. It's a real pleasure to have him on tonight. Stephen Kitshoff.
Thanks, gents.
Fantastic. Well, who else have got on, Joe?
Well, tonight we've got a MasterChef South African personality on tonight. He dabbles a little bit on to believe in rugby. He plays for the Stormers as well, and so there's another link over with Western Province. Every day is a school day for Big Joe Chef here, but everybody seems to be from the Western Province side, and so that's really good. So hope Anton's watching tonight. But this man is currently cooking away. He's a hooker, and he inspired me because he had the life-threatening illness that he came back from. We've got him into the kitchen now. He's a hooker. He's been capped 36 times, I think, for South Africa for the Springboks. He scored 35 points. No mean feat for a front rower. We love the front rowers. But I want to tell you there was a proper. Please welcome to the show, Bongi Mbonambi.
Hey guys,
It's so good.
Sorry about this. Yeah.
So good. Right, guys. Since the last show, we've obviously had some bad news here in South Africa on the rugby front. So since the last show, we've lost Kwanda Mtunja, who is just, if you've never watched any of his commentary, it is your loss. Get on YouTube and look at it. That is a true rugby man, a true passion. I'll even say it, the World Cup final stuff was absolutely amazing. But anytime the Sharks score, he loved them as well. And obviously we lost Paul Dobson as well, who is really, really important to South African rugby and Western Province rugby, and obviously the father of John Dobson, who coaches obviously Stephen and Bongi at the moment at Western Province in the Stormers. So, guys, with all due respect, could we please just have a moment's silence for our lost colleagues? Thank you ever so much, guys. Thank you so much. Guys, right, let's start in the background. Let's pretend nobody here knows you. Obviously they do. But while Bongi's trying not to cook, trying not to burn his lamb. Stephen, when did your passion for rugby start? talk us through your journey all the way up to being a World Cup winner quickly.
Yeah, I think it started at a very young age. Playing touch rugby with my dad and his mates in the backyard, and then going to primary school. They always said I always had a rugby ball in my hand, so I think the love of the game started at a young age. Watching passionately every Saturday, watching rugby on TV, and I think it just grew from there. Always the biggest kid at school as well, so could score the runaway tries, and just loved it every moment of it.
Awesome. Chef, how you getting on there? Can you hear us? No.
Bongi, how you doing? How's the lamb coming?
It's coming along very well.
We'll leave it for a second. I think we'll move on to let's start with last November, Joe. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. Highlight really of most people's lives, and then some. I know Andrew was quoted actually on a live show, one of our pre-World Cup shows last year, saying that he didn't think New Zealand would win. It would be between South Africa and England. I actually said it was going to be South Africa, so actually one better, because I've been a big Rassie fan and I've followed him since he's been at Munster. And there was just some things about, you could see that the way that South Africa was sort of going and building up towards. But you get to last there, and it's just a huge high, and then you had what almost has been a 6-month road tour, which then led into the current situation. How do you go from such a high, and then afterwards, and still keeping your mental and physical levels, and then all the tours and go meet the people, and then you hit COVID? Stephen, take us through first. What was it like there, and then what was the journey that you've been through in really sort of that last period?
Yeah, I think the build up to the whole World Cup, all the preparation and sacrifice that went into winning that campaign was incredible. Hard work from everyone, coaching staff, players, everyone involved. A lot of sacrifices from the partners and everyone involved. And then going through the World Cup and actually just every week playing better and ending up winning the World Cup was like the cherry on the cake. And then from there, coming back to South Africa and having that 2-week or 3-week bus tour where we just celebrate and see the people and just see the joy on their faces. Was just building on that joy that came from the World Cup and playing such incredible rugby, and then having a short break over December, and then almost going back to the Stormers and just after the break almost cooled down a bit and then back into action. So then started preparing for Super Rugby. I think the Stormers definitely had a good preseason, especially after such a World Cup and such a high. The guys still got back motivated, trained hard, and then went into Super Rugby flying, got a couple of wins, and then COVID hit, and then put the whole season on hold, which was very heartbreaking and tough. In the beginning, we just thought it was a couple of weeks, but now it's been going for 100 odd days, and yeah, it's been just want everything to go back to normal.
What about sort of your mental approach? Because it is such a high, let alone COVID, it's such a high. How do you, as an individual, find you dealt with those couple of weeks on the road? I mean, do you do any fitness while you're going, or is it all you have a bit of a downtime? How do you keep yourself at a certain level? Because it's probably more about other people's expectations than your own.
100%. Like, I think, especially coming off such an amazing high from the World Cup, you can't be slacking at the first game of Super Rugby. So I think a lot of guys did take a good deserved break, but over December, guys started training again and started getting fit for January when the Super Rugby started. The Super Rugby started a bit earlier, so our preseason, everything was moved earlier, and the guys got back to training and actually gave it horns. And so just not to drop off that momentum we had.
Bongi, can you hear us? Well, I think you can just hear you, Joe. I think.
Yes.
Bongi, tell everyone, apart from becoming a chef, firstly, what are you cooking? Because that's actually the biggest question at the moment. What are you cooking? But secondly, what have you been doing during lockdown to sort of keep fit, keep going? Especially as we haven't really got a date. Well, we think we've got a date for you to start playing competitively again. I'm not sure you can hear us. Can you hear us, Bongi?
Bongi, hear me, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. It might be Andy that you're having problem with. I haven't muted them off, I promise.
Yeah, no,
Bongi, tell us.
really.
Yeah, okay. But Bongi, give everybody, first of all, everybody wants to know, what are you cooking? That's the most important thing tonight. What's for dinner, brother?
For dinner is a bit of roasted lamb with some carrots and some beetroots.
Oh, man, honestly, one day I promise people, one day we'll have scratch and sniff and you'll be able to get it coming through to you. But until then, we have to take it as Bongi. We started off by tell everybody, because obviously this is going out global. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you journey into rugby.
Oh, well, I'm from a small town in South Africa called Bethlehem in the Free State. So yeah, I went there. Obviously, grew up there. My parents are still there at the moment. But yeah, I left at the age of 16, and I got offered a schoolboy contract through the Bulls at St Albans College. And yeah, I think that's where I started taking my rugby seriously. Because I mean, St Albans College is not a traditional rugby school, but obviously knowing that I got brought there by the Bulls, I obviously had to make the most out of the opportunity that I got. Because I know a lot is going on in Bethlehem. I mean, Bethlehem, not much happens there. So for me, it was an opportunity to get out and start making a living out of something that I'm passionate about. And so yeah, rugby came along and was my breakthrough. And then I saw it as a massive opportunity, obviously. And yeah, I think I made the most out of it, and I believe that I'm still making the most out of it. So yeah, I grew up in the Free State, moved to Pretoria, and then I left the Bulls in 2014, end of 2014, and I moved down to Cape Town, and yeah, this is where I'm still enjoying my rugby.
Absolutely. We're going to come on to Newlands later, because I've been following the stories that's going through, and I feel as though I'm almost an honorary member of Western Province, and and everything that's been going on there now. In fact, actually, you can't see because there's photos in the studio, but I've got sort of the old Newlands Stadium in the background there. But
okay, awesome.
Same for you, mate. From the high of the World Cup, and then Steve said you got the couple of weeks where you're sort of you're doing the traveling around and the victory tour, which just awesome. But how do you keep your mental and physical approach through that? And then you sort of bit of preseason training into COVID. How do you as an individual manage those sort of highs and lows?
Yeah, obviously coming back to Africa with the World Cup was a massive high. I mean, we went on for like a few good weeks after that, but then obviously you get back to reality. My wife helped a lot with that to bring me back to reality and bring it down to earth. So I think we all needed that at a stage. So yeah, I think obviously knowing that, listen, the World Cup is done and over, and if you really want to play for the next one, you really are going to have to start training. And I mean, we got back obviously with our preseason with the Stormers towards the middle of December, or towards the end of November to the middle of December. So obviously they started working on us then, and then obviously COVID this year. But before that, we played the Hurricanes, our first game on Newlands, and we won them very well. But obviously there was a lot of work done before that, and I mean it was the first game of the season, and I mean none of us were close to where we wanted to be. But then obviously I got injured in that game. Unfortunately, I tore my hamstring, a grade 3 tear, and then I mean I've been injured till now. And now again, I've started training again and running. So yeah, I think on the second half of rugby again, or whenever rugby starts in South Africa, I'll be 100% ready to go and raring.
It's great. We were talking offline before we started about the shortness of a rugby career, and yours, life-threatening illness, and then come back and then you get this injury, and it can change really, really quickly. It's that's mentally hard to toughen yourself up to go back, but sounds like your good lady is there to keep you leveled. And,
she does.
Going, everything, which I think is good. Yeah, good man, Andy.
Yeah, no, I just want to go back to back to my comment. All right, you did beat me. I said it would be England or South Africa, but the reason I said that at the time was because I didn't feel the All Blacks were settled. I didn't feel they were still trying. I didn't know where Barrett was playing, whether Mwanga was playing. But I could clearly see, obviously I follow England passionately, so I can see that great. But for the first time in a few years, probably, I could see a real cohesiveness with the Springboks. I could see what Rassie was building. I could see it. And, you can sort of feel it. And I suppose my question firstly to Stephen is, How do you get that? How do you work on that? Is it something natural? It clearly can't be taught. But also, we hear how hard it is when you're on tour for these weeks and weeks on end. Okay, the World Cup's probably slightly different because it's the World Cup. But how as a squad, how does Ratty piece all that together and then maintain it all the way to the end to bring that end success?
Yeah, I think especially during the whole World Cup, the build-up for the World Cup since 2018 when Rassie and Jock joined the Springboks, that whole build-up was based on like not getting entitled as a player, sacrificing, working as hard as possible, doing your prep in the week, and I think the guys started understanding exactly what that means and what sort of effort and sacrifice goes into a good performance every weekend, and we started getting like great consistency and week in and week out performances. Had a shaky start against England in the beginning and actually just built on that and got a good win against the All Blacks. And so I think that whole process that they drove was with the plan to win the World Cup on the 2nd of November. So the whole thing was like a build up towards that.
Cool. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear everyone now.
Hey, awesome. Oh. Is it the question, Bongi, is how does it feel to be part of such a cohesive unit that you come together from all over the world now, South African players, where they're playing, and then you come together, and I get it's a 4-year journey. It's always everyone talks about the 4-year journey, but how does it feel to be part of something so special, knowing, because obviously you believe you're going to win the World Cup, you wouldn't go otherwise. Mm-hmm. But like as 35 plus the management, how important is every single person, so down to the physios, down to the people doing the analysis, but also just having that many people together for so long? It must be an awesome feeling when you're all pulling in the right direction.
No, 100%. It was very an amazing feeling. But credit to the way Rassie and Jog Nidova actually set everything up. And I mean, before the World Cup, all the lineman camps that we had as a team, and I mean, Rassie and Jog actually made the effort to go to each and every union all around the province in South Africa and actually make sure that all the players were aligned in the same plan. And I think that actually went right through from the head coach till the guys packing our bags in the bus, till the kit manager. We were all aligned in one direction, and everyone actually knew what the plan was from the get-go. So no one has second thoughts about our plan going forward. And I think everything was just set so well and detailed properly. And I think that actually made us more comfortable. That actually took so much pressure off of us.
Yeah, awesome. And one of the things I want to talk about, and I always say this to people, like, educate me, is background noise. And when I mean background noise, I mean when you're away as a squad, you're in a different country, you're obviously in each other's pockets, or even at the Stormers, and you've gone abroad for the tour to Australia and New Zealand, and you have things that crop up that, as part of a squad, are not an issue. Okay, so we obviously know about the bomb squad in the middle of the World Cup, and I don't want you to draw on specifics. I'm just using it as an example. And Mapimpi has to put over a flipping social media post, and you as a squad are like, I can't believe he's got to do that. Now there's obviously a lot of background noise at the Stormers. There's a lot of, with the Newlands move, the takeover this week, potentially. There was an Investec deal, now that's gone, and there's a deal with Flight. How do you as a squad manage to block that out and continue? Is it just a self-belief in yourselves that, look, guys, don't worry about it, whatever? Or does it hurt a bit? Does it actually hurt a bit when you're trying to win a World Cup for your country?
I don't think it hurts as much as, like, it kind of plays with your mind, plays with your thoughts as a rugby player, because you start thinking about the future and start thinking about, listen, where do I go from now if things don't work out at my union? But I think also one thing that kept us kind of grounded and kind of helped to block that noise out is that I mean, we had a whole nation behind us. We had 60 million people plus behind us. So I think for me personally, that was my drive behind everything, behind all the games I play, training every week and making sure that I'm prepared and mentally ready to go out there and actually bring the cup back home. And I'm sure the whole team, I felt the same way.
Stephen?
Yeah, and I think also part of the job was for us to play bloody good rugby, like to be able to pitch up every Saturday and actually put up a massive performance. I think with the white noise, it fades away as soon as you start playing consistently great rugby. And I think that was one of the things we also focus on is actually how we perform on Saturdays.
Yeah, but it must be difficult when you're seeing individuals attacked. Well, not attacked, probably is the wrong word, but being maybe cited in the media, whether social media, let's call it social media. I mean, do you? Here's a good question. Obviously, you're all on social media, because obviously we've tagged you in everything this week. How much do you actually look at it? Is it something that you've cut down over time? I mean, I'm personally trying to cut down during this COVID, so I don't read it. Is it something that's just there as a Stephen Kitshoff management tool, or is it something that you actually spend a lot of time on, or do you try to avoid the noise?
No, definitely use it more as a management tool, trying to keep the sponsors happy. So I don't really go too deep into social media and try and find negative feedback. So just use it very on the just on the top level and not really dive deep into anything when it comes to social media. Trying to avoid it as much as possible.
Bongi, is it hard to watch teammates get singled out?
Yeah, it is. It is, especially when you're very close to them and you actually around them so much and so long. You actually know the guy personally. It does really hurt to know that someone out there who doesn't really or hardly even knows your teammate as well as you do, and you see the kind of stuff they write about him and the way they kind of try to portray the team in like a bad way because they have a different view to it. So I think also what Rassie did well is that Rassie also got involved in the social media, where he started announcing the team weekly on Facebook or on Instagram, wherever it was. I think that actually showed that he wants everyone to be involved, everyone to know exactly what's going on, and I'm sure that helped a lot to take off the pressure off of us, social media wise.
Yeah, it's definitely it's almost like he's coming to the people, coming for you to the people on your behalf, and I think that's another mark of a great leader, a great human being that can look at those opportunities and say, do you know what, I can take this, good, bad, or indifferent. I can be the voice of everybody because I'm the person that leads. That's why he went from where he was. That's why he's director of rugby. That's why he's going to be around for 20 or 30 years' time. I can see that from the outside. That's why I've been following him since Munster, because it was like, this is what we're doing next, lads. You can just see where a man like that positions himself and the reason why. And he doesn't do anything. He's very, very astute, man. I think that's the way he comes across as an outsider to me. That leads on to Quentin Ventet. Sorry, Quentin, good evening to you. Says, how was the mental state and the emotions after losing to New Zealand in the World Cup? And that ties in really well because of the way that I saw Rassie conduct himself. How was that for you, lads? Losing that first game.
We spoke about it before the time as a team, and we said we need to, including the quarterfinals, semis, and finals, we had to win 7 big games or 6 big games, and we didn't count Namibia as a big game. So we knew we were going to lose. If we lose one, we're still going to have an opportunity to beat to win the World Cup. And I think after that loss, it just actually got the Oaks back to square one and said, listen here, guys, can't take this thing for granted. We're going to have to really work our asses off to get through, to go unbeaten through the whole World Cup to actually be able to play in the final. So I think it gave a little bit of more motivation that Monday when we got back to training.
Superb. Bongi, your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with Kutsi because for me, one thing that stood out was what Frans Steyn said in the meeting, actually, to everyone. He said that after obviously we lost against New Zealand, it was tough for us, especially for myself, with this being my first Rugby World Cup, like a lot of thoughts start racing through your head. So he actually said to us that, listen, it's time that we close everyone off. We close off, almost like close off the whole world, and just worry about everyone who was in that room at the moment. And it was the whole team, the whole squad. And he says, time to like almost like mentally, emotionally shut the doors down, because we knew what was coming the next morning. The news headlines and all the negative stories started coming through. And I actually took his advice. I deleted my social media account for that whole week, and I just shut everything out and start focusing on our journey forward from there. So yeah, that really helped to kind of think of it that way.
I've got a personal question, Andy, if I can. So you two, good friends, you play together. How does that really carry itself forward to elite test level? It's not just playing in the same team. You're man next to each other. How do you two find that? Are you quite synced into better than maybe if you were with different franchises and coming together in a test side?
Yeah, so me and Bongi have been playing together for a while now, and I think we start understanding each other's. We do. Bongi is super talented, and I know exactly what he does in the scrum. So I know how to work with him to get the best results, and I think it's vice versa. So I think just with years of experience and actually friendship and caring about each other, those experiences grow, and then you just become better as a unit, which Stormers actually have been able to do the last couple of years, is keep the same front row for long periods of time and actually build on that combination of players, which is great.
Brilliant. Bongi, how do you find being with the big fella?
No, listen, sometimes it works on my nerves, but most of the time he's actually the kind of guy I'd rather have next to me in the scrum than anyone else. And yeah, I mean, I agree with him 100%. He is. It does really help when you
Sure.
both come from the same union, and like you've played so many games with each other, and then you head off into the international squad. It does really make it easier, especially for the coaches, to know that, listen, these guys work together at the unions, and obviously they'll perform better when they come to the national squad. So yeah, it does really help a lot, and yeah, it makes a massive difference once you get up there.
Brilliant.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Right, let's move domestically. Stormers. Obviously, you're doing very well in Super Rugby. Some great results. Didn't concede a point for the first two. Firstly, emotionally, leaving Newlands behind at some point, heartbreaking. First memories of Newlands, and how do you feel about the move? Obviously, I know you're going to a world-class stadium, but there's always going to be a bit of heart at Newlands, isn't there? How you personally feeling, and how the squad feeling about leaving Newlands?
Yeah, definitely very heartbreaking. I think so many memories rushing through my head, thinking of that old lady. But one of the first memories I have of Newlands is actually playing under-9 rugby bare feet, just in the 22 area of Newlands in primary school. So that was I was 106, Bongi. Lightweight. That was one of my first memories of Newlands, and experiencing the field and actually running barefoot around and actually just enjoying a bit of rugby.
Absolutely.
And Bongi, first memories of Newlands? Obviously, you started up north, but
Yeah, I think my first memory wasn't a really nice memory, because I mean, playing for the Bulls against the Stormers, when you get there, the first couple of words that you hear, they're not the most kindest of words. So I mean, I've got chirped a lot there, quite a lot of chirps, especially standing on the touchline, you as a hooker, ready throwing the ball, and you just hear someone yapping behind you. So it does kind of throw you off your game. But I mean, once I moved there, it was really amazing. I got welcomed with open arms, and I mean, the team also welcomed me very well. And I think my fondest memory was obviously, I think the best game I played there for the Stormers was when you played against the Chiefs. I think it was 2016 or 2017, if I'm not wrong. And it was my 50th Super Rugby game in all.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, we beat them on Newlands, and it was a massive crowd because obviously, you know, in Cape Town we have the Cape Crusaders or the Cape Town All Blacks, whatever they want to call themselves. So they obviously come out in their numbers, whenever a New Zealand team comes over. So, I mean, the stadium was packed. It was an amazing vibe, and I'll never forget that game. Yeah, that was one
Was that the ridiculous Dylan Lades pass to SP Maria?
Yeah,
that game?
yeah, that game was actually that game.
Utterly ridiculous. Filthy. And looking forward to Cape Town Stadium? Looking forward to the move there?
Yeah, definitely. It's about a 2-minute jog for me from where I stay in town. So
easy peasy.
Yeah, it's gonna be a different experience. I think you're definitely gonna miss the atmosphere that Newlands created, smelling that hops from SAB and then the Boerewors and the people selling next to the road, that all and all the pubs there in the southern suburbs. Definitely gonna miss all that, and just trying to get used to Cape Town Stadium as quickly as possible and try and perform as well as we did.
Yeah. It's an incredible stadium, though. I love going there. It's such a shame the Sevens has been cancelled this year. Although, like I always say, I very rarely remember past the quarterfinals of the Sevens. Castle, cheers for that. But yeah, hopefully some packed houses there, especially when the Lions come. And now the potential of moving up to you guys seen Joe as much as I'll see you down in Cape Town. I mean, I can have my opinion. You don't have to do this, but I think New Zealand needs South Africa more than South Africa need New Zealand when it comes to Super Rugby. But you're going to miss the trips down there. If let's just assume that we're going down that road, and there's the potential of moving north. Obviously, Stephen, you've played north before. I'd love to see Stormers Toulouse in a Heineken Cup quarter final in a couple of years, wouldn't you?
Definitely. But just on the New Zealand tour, I think it's some of the boys' highlights of the year. I mean, if you don't tour with the Boks, at least you go with the Stormers and actually spend a couple of weeks in a foreign country and actually get to experience the whole thing. I know there's a lot of guys who are going to miss Danny Newlands and some nice pubs around the Sydney area. But if it happens that we're out of Super Rugby or New Zealand wants to drop us, then just go make new memories in the north.
Yeah, definitely. Bongi, give us a story from one of your trips. Come on, it's your chance to stitch Stephen up here. What does he get up to? He comes across as a nice guy. Come on.
No, seriously, man, he is a nice guy. Because one of my best memories with Kitsy was actually when I first came to Cape Town. It was like local. It wasn't even a tour yet. So the way we met was that I obviously went out. My first weekend in Cape Town, I just wanted to explore the place. I obviously went out with my mates for a good night out of proper celebrating my move down and having beers and having a good time. So at the end of the night, I decided to walk back to my place, which actually isn't far from Long Street, just like almost up the road. And then you just turn right, and I walk into my flat. But then I think I took the wrong turn, and then I bumped into Kitsy. And that's where I actually had my first conversation with him. I was in the middle of Long Street, and he asked me, "Listen, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to my flat." He said, "Do you even know where you're going?" I said, "Yeah, I just go straight up the road." And then he turned me around and said, "No, you have to go the other way." And then you turn right. So that was how myself and Kitsy met. So.
Good rolls. Listen, lads, you got to remember, you got to each when Newlands goes, you've got to take a small piece of turf with you that you encase in that's that you keep as a memory forever. Because as you get older and you get to something at my age, those small things that will no longer be there when it's a housing estate or something else in the future. Look back, but you need to take another piece for me. So when you come up and play in the Pro 14 or Pro 18 or Pro 20 and the European, you can meet up and we'll tell you some good bits of Guinness in Dublin, and we'll have a bit of a lash up there as well.
That sounds amazing.
Nice.
Joe, what's the feeling in Ireland at the moment that this could happen?
Excuse me, a bit 50-50, to be honest. I mean, it's been talked about that there be another 2 teams coming for a while. Personally, I've been a big fan of both the Kings and the Cheetahs coming. I think it was thrown together quickly, but I understood why it was. One team was clearly better than the other. I sit in both of their fan groups as well. I've really enjoyed watching them both play. And I think offensively, far, far better than the defensively. The results, a lot of the times, don't belie the, it's easy to say, won this few, lost a whole pile. But actually, the tries that they've scored, the Cheetahs are absolutely outstanding. I just think it's fab. And I think the offensive Southern Hemisphere style open play that they've brought up has been fab. I was up with Martin Bongi, one of our mates from Leinster, and a torrential day earlier on the season at the RDS at Leinster when the Cheetahs were there, and we whopped them, but they scored 2 brilliant tries, and I mean it was like how the game wasn't called off, but they kept going and the 2 tries to score were well executed, and they never gave up for the whole of the 80 minutes. So in the end, can't even remember what it was now, 50 odd, 17 or something. It didn't belie how well they played, and I think if the teams can sort of tie up a little bit more defensively, then they're going to be in a totally different position. From a former forward perspective, I think it's fab. It really is. So for us here, we'd welcome some more teams coming in. I personally think it's the way to go. It's just the mechanics and the logistics of how you do it away from your families for a period of time. But I think if anything, of course, everybody wants to play against New Zealand or Australia, whatever. But I think the times have changed, and I think the time is probably right now. If you're going to move in the next 12 months, because I think the next 12 months we will stay local then global. So the same as New Zealand have done, it's regional, but that's local. Dan Carter playing for Southbridge. You'll have some of your Stormers guys playing for the Western Province and things. We're going to have more of that layered system back up. Because some regions are going to be hit and are getting hit with phase 2. So we're going to do this local bit, then global. So I think the next 12 months will be pretty steady. And then I think for 21-22, we'll then look at maybe the move up north. And I think if the franchise teams come north, I think the Springboks will come north as well. That's my personal view.
Interesting. All right, guys, before we move on to next year, the big one. Guys, you've got 2 World Cup winners here. Send some questions. I'm even going to entertain Pierre's question now that he dropped just a minute ago. Is that the time I've got to go? Bongi and Steve, how much did the England pack start panicking? Can you actually physically see that on the pitch? That's a good question, to be fair. Can you see it in the whites of their eyes? When you scrum them to pieces in that final. I just want to point out there was a couple of scrums there that should have been 50 feet. Stephen, your elbow hit the deck first on one of them. You got pinged for. So, wow. Let me get this off my chest, okay, right? So Jerome Garza is public enemy number 1 beforehand. Probably got the freedom of Cape Town now. But anyway, go on, move on, answer the question.
I've just muted him. That's the power of being the producer and a host. I've just muted him. So we'll have none of this English anti-Springbok rhetoric anymore from him. There we go.
I think with the scrum performance, Beast, Bongi, France, they made magic, especially there in the beginning. I think poor Dan Coles had a nightmare. And we could actually, after that first couple of scrums in the first half and actually just milking penalties left, right and centre, coming on off the bench was just so much fun, like just playing and knowing, scrumming them at will. I know we had that one slip where Joe Mahler had a bit of brilliance and actually got that one penalty, but it was actually a lot of fun. It's like felt like a good training session, especially at scrum time. Not the rest of the game, just that scrum time.
Not my words.
Bongi, your smile's telling me a whole story here.
Anyway, sorry. From we've gone from when I started playing years ago, where forwards did a certain thing, and I got fined in my second ever game for kicking the ball because I saw somebody did it and everybody applauded them. I thought that was great, but not as a forward apparently, no. But now, obviously, Bongi, I've seen you running. There's a certain Sean Cronin at Leinster who likes to go on the little runs, and you remind me a lot of him. It's fab. I mean, 35 points, I think, is it, in 36 tests? Fair play to you for a hooker, mate. Where would you have played, though? If you weren't a prop, if you weren't a hooker, where else in the side would you like to have played in rugby, and why? Bongi, start me off.
I actually, funny enough, I actually played a couple of games for my first team, St. Albans College. I played a couple of games at six flank. I mean, 3 or 4 games or so. And I enjoyed it because obviously it was the running, and obviously from the scrum you get to make the first hit, or you get stuck into the first ruck. So I actually played a few games there, and then obviously I got moved to hooker. Yeah, so I think six flank will work for me.
But you enjoy your runs. It's good.
He just needs to work on his poaching technique.
What about yourself, Stephen? They say inside every prop there's a centre waiting to go out. Where would you play if you weren't loosehead?
I'm actually a backline player caught in a fat man's body.
Aren't we all?
Oh dear. Right.
Do you ever get a chance when you're Jordan training, interestingly, to play in other positions? Just to give you a bit of a viewpoint of what it's like to be in a different position. Do your coaches ever do that with you?
Not structured, but like unstructured. We sometimes run like either a roll of 10, or we run a hard line like a centre would do. Especially when it's general play, and I think coaches try and make everyone be able to do anything on the field, like either play 9 or being able to do every role on the field when it needs to be. If the game opens up completely and you have to be able to run a line of 10, or you have to be able to distribute from first set of hands, then he does give us those scenarios.
Does he also highlight when you're in the flipping way as well?
Yeah. And then they shout duck.
Right, gents, next year's the big one. It's going to happen. We're not going to have any of this COVID chat. It's going to happen. Firstly, first question straight off the bat, because you're both going to get selected. I'm just assuming, right? I'm just assuming. So don't give me the political, well, if I get picked and I train and I play hard enough. Yeah, because I know. Let's not waste our time. First British Lions memory, where do you put it? For me personally, and I'm not saying this as a bitter Englishman, and I'm a bitter Englishman, but for personal reasons, the British Lions always been top for me. Not saying that I didn't almost cry last year, thanks for that. But I'm just saying the British Lions always been top for me. Where do you put that? Where would you put it on your list of achievements if you were successful next year? And what do you remember of the Lions? Probably the 09 tour, I'm assuming, for you guys.
Yeah, I think ranking and playing against the British Irish Lions will be, because it's such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's up there with the World Cup and actually being able to play a World Cup. So I'll definitely put it up there. And one of my first memories is British Irish Lions versus Stormers at Newlands, or Province at Newlands. And
that was.
I can't remember his name, but the 8th man with the long blonde hair made that tackle on Dwayne. It was like a bone-crunching tackle in the
Andy Powell.
22.
Is that Andy Powell?
Yeah, it's Powell.
Yeah, Andy Powell.
You heard the slap.
Yeah. So, geez, and yeah, I was grade 11 that year, and it was it's unbelievable to just watch a game like that and see the guys go flat out at each other.
Bongi, excited for the British and Irish Lions. Apologies, Joe, bad habit. Joe Lyons, that is. Excited for the British and Irish Lions coming over next year?
No, 100%. Very much excited, because I mean, as Kitty said, it's way up there with the World Cup. Those kind of achievements. I think, wow, man, it only comes like once in a lifetime, and you have to make the most out of it. And I think, memory-wise, it was definitely when Beast started demolishing in the scrums and actually owning the Lions scrums. That for me was like almost like the best highlights out of all of it.
Why did I start
Just
this
seeing
project?
So, yeah,
That was Phil Vickery as well. That was an Englishman.
Yeah, I think, wow, man, I'm really excited for it, and yeah,
Yeah, no, actually, the sea of red coming over is something we are definitely looking forward to. Definitely.
Yeah, we do. I'm just going to throw that up there from Joe Lyons. Joe Lyons, well done. I was going to let him get away with it while we were live, but he has apologised. So, Joe Lyons, got a meal of my hugget, I guess. There you go. Thanks very much for that, British and Irish Lions. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because obviously one of my heroes is Ty Furlong, and he'll be, you know, a bit of an opposition, fab player and big fan of yourself. So seeing that together is going to be really good. How do you? I mean, obviously, you've really got real quality and depth on the front row, but how do you think missing a Beast, how does that affect bringing, you know, another player in full time? It goes back to the question I think before, where the two of you are very, very synced clearly, but somebody else coming into the front row to replace her, because I mean, Beast was just an exceptional person, an exceptional player. To replace that, obviously the person's going to be good, but how do you sort of deal with that yourself from the front row at such a high level?
Yeah, I think Beast is an incredible rugby player, and he brought a lot of experience, and he actually became like a mentor, especially for myself in the early stage of my Springbok career. And he's truly going to be missed, but it gives a nice opportunity to the next guy like Lizo or Ox or Dylan Smith. Give those Oaks opportunity to actually be able to play for the Springboks and actually put their stamp down on a possibly a massive international career as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Bongi, how do you find it when with transition plays coming in?
Sorry, repeat that again.
How do you find it with sort of you know, when you lose something like, you know, Beast like that sort of level in the front row? How do you find it with a transition and sort of play coming in? Bearing in mind how used you are to playing with Stephen.
Yeah, I think it does really create opportunities for other players to come through. I mean, myself also, I was playing behind Adrian Strauss. You know, you got guys like Bismarck also, who, I mean, legends of the Bokke jersey and representing the Springboks. And I think for me, as Kitshoff said, you know, it's like an opportunity that you must really take up seriously, and your chance to actually make that jersey your own and actually put your stamp down as an upcoming Springbok hooker and actually make it legendary like Beast himself and like Bismarck and like the Adrian Strausses. So yeah, it is a massive opportunity. It is a challenge in itself because I mean you have to obviously get used to scrumming to the next to the guy and actually get used to the way he wants to scrum and actually start working together as a unit, which happens over a long period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we've got another St. Albans old boy, Springbok number 665, if I remember rightly. Might have been 667. Can't remember. I know it's definitely not 666 anyway. Dan Fonsale. Good to have another St. Albans old boy on the show. He's saying there, Dan, you're always welcome, mate, and thank you for all you're doing at the academy and for aspiring kids elsewhere. What else have we got? Joe Lyons, we've got a question. Where are we, Joe? Will there be limited subs come Lions? Great question. And if so, how do lads think that's going to have a balance? I'd be leaning towards Lions if it's limited subs. Yeah, there's this proposal where we're going to cut back on the numbers of subs, bench people, finishers, whatever you want to call them. But what are your thoughts on that, Stephen? Start us off. If we cut back on the number of people on the bench, substitutes, do you think that has a
these boys are going to have to get fitter. That's what they're worried about.
Yeah, we're almost going back to the days of the 80s and 70s where actually, you know, most props did 80 minutes. You know, most plays did 80 minutes. And the subs were used if there was an injury. So, Steve, what's your thoughts on that, mate? If they do come back?
Yeah, I think going back to Andy's comment now, like guys do get tired on the field, and it actually slows the game down a lot. But like I think the Boks, especially in the World Cup, used the bench, the bomb squad, exceptionally well, and it takes away that opportunity to actually go flat box for 50 minutes and actually getting the guy on the off from the bench, and actually he can go hard as well, and actually keeps the intensity of the game very high. And I think, as you said, games are going to become more sluggish, and if everyone has to play 80 minutes and you're only going to be subbed if you're injured, so it's going to have an effect on the game, and our guys prepare for game and how they actually play and reserve energy. Because if you have to play 80 minutes, myself, 120 kilos, trying to survive for 80 minutes is going to become a long day.
Absolutely, yeah. Bongi, what about yourself? 80-minute man? Not as many runs in the game, possibly for you?
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with Kitsy. It is going to be kind of a mental challenge, a mental shift. But I think the way rugby has changed over the years, and the way rugby is still changing and it's still going to evolve. I think we are going to need more. I mean, I disagree with less subs. I think I am for more subs, because I mean, the way you see the tackles are getting massively huge now these days. You know, defense is improving, attack is improving. So I think I mean we can gym as hard as we want. We can do a lot of the most fitness as we can, but I don't think you can ever be top fit enough to play a whole season of high level rugby and your body not to take shots. So I think the subbing in the game does really help the players to spare their bodies for the next bigger games or something like that. So I think I'm for the keeping the same numbers of subs to make sure that the bodies at least can at least survive to play more games and get through the whole competition.
And do you think, guys, that player welfare is high enough up the agenda at the moment? Generally speaking, let's say World Rugby, is it high enough on the list for you guys at the moment? How are you feeling about it? It seems to be a bit of a buzzword at the moment, and I completely get it. Are we moving in the right direction? Or certainly, obviously, you believe the subs, if they were to change the subs, you're not moving in the right direction. And we've got now that a Premiership in the UK they're potentially going to play 3 games in 7 days, which Joe Marler has been very critical of, very in a comedic way, obviously, on Twitter. But are we moving in the right direction or not?
I think player welfare has gone a long way, I think, since the 90s and early 2000s when it comes to like head injury assessments and actually player wellness and being able to play. If we go back to less subs, it's definitely a step in the wrong direction, as you just mentioned, Andy. And I think we still need to strive to be able to look after the players so they don't get major injuries or career-ending injuries. And actually, if it's limited to 25 games a year, and you actually, I think the Boks have a good structure where they actually limit the amount of minutes you're allowed to play for the Super Rugby franchise to be fit and well conditioned to just slot into the box. So, like, just player management and be able to get the most out of your player and not run him into the ground over the first couple of weeks and then the whole season, or he gets a major injury, then you lose him anyway. So I think we need to be able to make a step up in that area.
I think there's a couple of great points, Stephen, made that have been echoed on here. It's a far more attritional game now in the 21st century, isn't it? You know, we've got to be realistic, and mental and physically. I'd rather see actually more subs on the bench. I'd actually to see rotating subs. I don't see anything wrong with that personally, because I think it actually adds more to the game. I want to see a fast-flowing game constantly. People always ask me, what's the difference between, to me, for the North and Southern Hemisphere? Well, one is in the Northern Hemisphere, actually, it's about club, region, or province. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's country. For both, though, it is about managing the player welfare mentally and physically, and I still don't think we're fully there enough yet. So I think the Boks are doing well. I think Ireland still has the best player welfare system. A lot of central contracts, the minutes that they can play, sort of Stephen's talking about, that the Boks are doing now. Whether Razzie's neck definitely when his time will pay, but it's great to see either way, because I think one small injury can cost. I mean, we've got Dan Levy just coming back after a year out, and almost people have forgotten. Yeah, he's a world-class player, but that one injury, on his ligaments, that can stop a person's career. So, for me, I'd like to see more, and I'd also like to see considering sort of rolling subs. It takes me back to when I was a kid, but actually, it gave you a bit of a breather, and it stops the old sort of water on the ground type thing. Dan Funsale throws in a good one here for you lads. We should go back to when he started playing with a hooker that can play prop and a scrum half that can play anywhere else, and that's the only two on the bench. That's where we go. And Joe Lyons, one for Andy there. Joe Lyons says that Andy would win the race to Krispy Kreme donuts. There we go. There we go. So, okay. Oh, that's good. We're I'm conscious of the time, lads. And if you've got any more questions for Stephen and for Bongi, lads, just before we finish up, please do so. But I'd like to see their thoughts. Their sort of, you're not even peaked at the top of your level. That's what pisses me off, lads. I'm 56, crawling to get out of bed in the morning. I look at you two, and you just sort of zooming around. Where do you see rugby, though, coming out of COVID now? What would you both of you like to see in the next sort of 2 to 5 years for us to bring rugby, from grassroots to elite level better? Because there is a gap, So how would you, if you had it in a position, if you were World Rugby, and Stephen, we'll start with you, what would you like to see happen over the next 2 to 5 years for rugby across the globe to see it develop more equally?
Yeah, I think, especially in South Africa, I would like to see more player development, like where it comes not just in the rugby aspect, but we spoke about it a bit earlier, but like also in their personal lives, and actually be able to look after their finances and be able to go from rugby into almost into a normal life, if you can put it like that, and just being able to develop as humans and as a good bloke, being able to play rugby for most of your life, and then be able to transition from that into the working life. If I can put it like that.
Yeah, good, excellent. Bongi.
No, I agree 100% with Kitsy, because at the end of the day, I mean, we can only play rugby for so long. I mean, our bodies can allow us to do so much at the end of the day, and I think we have to really start looking for what happens after that. Obviously, start actually with the juniors. I mean, start from matrics, from under 18s. Start there, start developing them there, telling them, listen, rugby is not forever. Rugby does have an ending, and after that, normal life goes on. So I think for us to actually start thinking further than just being a rugby player, start thinking what happens after rugby, what is my plan for after rugby, and obviously, I mean that does go a very long way when you start the players very young, start getting them to think about life more seriously, and not just thinking that it's all about rugby and 80 minutes on the weekend, and then the rest of it take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Andy.
Yeah, no, I think we're almost at an hour, which always breaks my heart, especially when we're having cracking rugby chat with two guys such as this. And guys, thank you so much for giving up your time this evening. Bongi, I hope your lamb's not ruined, mate. I'm worried about that. It's not pink anymore, is it? But no, thanks so much for coming on, guys. Amazing insight into. I suppose I should say congratulations on last year, but the British and Irish Lions are coming. There's a lot of people wanting revenge, Welsh and English, as well as the rest of us. But no, congratulations on last year. Thanks so much for giving up your time this evening. Best luck in the future. I will definitely be seeing you at the Cape Town Stadium when you move there. And if you have any tickets kicking around for next year, you know where I am. So. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time this evening.
Perfect, guys. Thank
Absolutely,
you so much.
Guys. Yeah, listen, just stay in the studio for 1 second, guys. We'll just close down. Thanks very much. There was one final question. I'm just going very quickly, 30 seconds. We're going to throw this up from Rimal. Rimal, I hope that's how I've spelled that, said that correctly. Stephen and Bongi, please give us score predictions for the British and Irish Lions versus the Springboks next year. Stephen, how's it going to go?
I like Jock Hennings coming there. Box 3 0 for British Irish Lions.
Good man yourself. You're welcome here anytime. Here we go. Bongi.
No, I 100% agree with Kitsy. You know, it's gonna. I think they're coming in for a hard time here. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very hostile. And Andy, we're definitely keeping an eye out for you, man.
Yeah, we'll probably play our second string in the third test when it's all wrapped up anyway. So don't worry about it. Yeah. Alan 97.
Good. Listen, lads, thanks very much. Looking forward to next week on Monday. We've got a show with Keegan Big Joe Show when we are chatting with the chairman, the national head coach, and Richie Mifsud as well from Gibraltar on our grassroots to community rugby aspect as well. And then next Thursday, we're back again with another Drie Bokke. I'm not sure I've got that in my calendar. Actually, Andy's back on again next Thursday.
In there without you knowing, mate.
Where he on his own. I'll be back in the future next week. Andy will be speaking to David Rose, referee TMO from the UK, and Neil Clock, and that will be a mental health sports special. Until then, please go and like and follow Drie Bokke, the Springbok and South Africa Rugby Roundup Show, otherwise known as Drie Bokke, a Ball and Bod, and go and like Three Blokes, a Ball and Bod page as well. Anything you want. Come and tell us. If you want to be on the show, come and tell us. If you want to speak to legends like these, come and tell us. We can. Until next week, Andy, thank you.
Cheers, sir. Cheers, gentlemen.
He won't let me out that often. Bongi, thank you. Stephen, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Where we come down. Until then, this is Andy. Over to you. Your show. You say the final goodbye.
No, thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow, so make sure you share it around. We'll be sharing it for ages. If we can get Stephen to stop managing his social media and retweet, we might get even more. But guys, thanks very much. We'll see you all again soon. See you next week. Mental health special. Please tune in. I know these two gentlemen personally. They are fantastic, fantastic people, and their stories are absolutely incredible. One of them is written on my website, which I will share. I think prior to the show, Mr. Rose has been through a lot, and the fact that they are willing to come and tell their stories is fantastic. So please, guys, I know every professional rugby player out there has mental health on their mind. Literally, excuse me, I didn't mean that any sort of pun, but it's there. It's real. We all need to talk about it. So it's a big passion of mine. So until next Thursday, take care, and we'll see you there.
Cheers, guys. Take care.